This episode is for the parents, or really anybody who's responsible for little ones. I've brought you the one, the only Dr. Becky. You know her as Dr. Becky Kennedy. She is a clinical psychologist, best-selling author of the book Good Inside, and founder of the parenting platform Good Inside, which I can promise you my wife and we both are members of the app. She is the millennial parenting whisperer. Dr. Becky, thank you so much for coming on.
I have actually truly been very much looking forward to that. I know we both are guests often on people's podcasts, and it's an easy thing to say, but yeah, I feel like obviously we've been friends for a while, and I'm so excited to do this.
Yeah, me too. It's you and I have known each other probably over a year at least now. Has it been?
Probably 2, I'd say.
Yeah, I feel like time
flies when
is,
you're old, you know,
yeah,
like us.
Yeah, like us. Yeah, it's. I feel like it's zoomed by. It really has been able to support you through all the changes that you have, and you've certainly been there for me with all the things that we have going on. Be able to talk to you finally, face to face, even virtually, is a true pleasure. So thank you very much for coming on the podcast. And I'm excited for all the things I'm about to ask you. I have a lot. So one of the things that you have, I think it's in your book because I know I have it underlined, is that when you realize that misbehavior in kids is a skill and not a character issue, things begin to change. I know I'm paraphrasing here.
Yeah.
And I that to me, now, you know, for anybody listening, I have 2 kids, ages 7 and 5. How old are yours, Becky? 13,
10, and 7.
Yeah. Okay. You're in a different way. Okay. We each have at least a 7-year-old, and you're on a different scale than me. So when I read that immediately was like, man, that was powerful. Because I know with my daughter, that happened this morning, Dr. Becky, this morning. My son having a he's got bedhead, his hair is everywhere, and he's just eating his cereal. And my daughter is just like a tornado. Just anybody who's in her vicinity, she is going to wreck their morning. That's just kind of how it feels sometimes. It's like if you're just in the vicinity, you're gonna get it. But when you have that line, that misbehavior is a skill, not a character flaw. Tell me what that means to you, because I love it.
Yeah. So I don't know exactly how I said it in the book, but I think the way I'd say it now is 2 ways, because we all, I feel like, need different language. Depends on what hits us. Is, as soon as you start seeing your kids' bad behavior as a sign of what they need and not as a sign of who they are, everything changes. Right. But another thing, which is,
can you say that again? Can you say that again, please?
As soon as you see your kids' bad behavior as a sign of what they need, not as a sign of who they are, everything changes. And I think another very practical way of saying that is that kids acting out, where it comes from, it's a skill deficit, not a behavior deficit. So the misbehavior itself, like, I don't know if it's so skilled. It's not a skill to hit someone or say, I hate you, or, lie to your parents' face. But in all those moments, we tend to very quickly assume my kid's a bad kid. We tend to collapse a bad thing or a bad behavior into a bad person. And we do that so fast without realizing it. And then we all act based on that framework versus, wait, I have a good kid. I have a good kid having a hard time. And this is a sign that my kid has some skill deficit. There is not a character deficit. We just tend to walk down a very different path after that.
I so much relate to that. In my communication stuff, and of course anybody who's listening, they listen for the communication tips, and we're going to talk about the practical stuff, is that we do the same thing with our words. You say nice things to someone, instantly you're a nice person. You hear somebody say mean things, instantly that's a mean person. Or they say funny things, you're like, it's a funny person. And I hear that in relation to our kids. Our kids misbehave, they're a bad kid. A kid says something, they say thank you or yes sir or no ma'am or whatever. Oh, it's a very polite kid. And so it's so easy how we hear one little snippet and we apply that whole label to their whole identity.
That's exactly it. And look, I mean, we could talk about this in parenting and communication. We could talk about this in like a world global scale and, how quick we are to judge. It's happening everywhere. But, behavior, the thing about it is it's visible. Like literally, you can see behavior. You see a kid hit. You see your daughter who's a tornado or your son who's a tornado. And when your kid says, you're the worst parent in the world, I hate you, you never do anything fun for me, right after you like took off work and took them to an amusement park and all you did was ask them to like change into their pajamas. That's what like provoked this whole moment. You're like, we're just talking about the pajamas I just bought you, right?
Yeah.
What happened, our brain just takes what's visible behavior and it collapses it into identity, which is always inherently invisible. It lives inside someone. And then we just start asking the wrong questions and we start intervening in ways that just deepens the problem, right? Because our initial framework, whether you see behavior as a character deficit or a skill deficit, determines everything you do next. And often people say, well, what do I do? What do I say? And give me a new strategy. Nothing's working. If nothing's working with your kid, what I would say is actually you don't need a new strategy. You don't need a new script. You definitely don't need me to like tell you something to parrot. It's not going to feel like you anyway. Probably the framework with which you see the situation, that's the thing that's not working. And so we have to start with a framework shift, which is kind of like saying the road you're on is just a bad, unproductive road. So like nothing along that road that's an unproductive road is going to help. We need to slow down and switch roads. And once we understand a new road and there's a part of you that says, oh, maybe that is what's going on for my kid. Now we can get concrete and think about strategies or different scripts or things to say. But it's actually about switching the road first.
When you say road, is that like the mindset? When you're saying like that, is that related or is it?
I think so. Yeah. I mean, to me, mindset, road, like I guess, whatever visual makes sense. But yes, your mindset is the thing you tell yourself. It's your interpretation of what's happening. And so again, I know I'm a concrete person too. Because we tend to see what's visible behavior and assume we know everything about the person, what's actually happening interpretation-wise is something I call the least generous interpretation. We all tend to default to that LGI. Like you see your kid, I don't know, jump on the couch, and you say very kindly, Bobby, I'm going to need you to stop jumping on the couch. You're right near that glass table. I don't want you to crack your head open, whatever we say. And it depends on your kid and their temperament. But I have at least one kid like Bobby, let's just say that. And that kid would look at me, smile, and continue jumping on the couch, but this time harder. And what we do is this LGI, least generous interpretation. We say, my kid's a sociopath. My kid's a sociopath. That's it. My kid's a sociopath. They're going to be in jail. They're disrespectful. And then everything that follows after Jefferson, right? It's nothing to do with my kid jumping on the couch. Everything that happens after is only because that interpretation in my mind, that least generous interpretation. What do you do if you think your kid's a sociopath? You punish them. You make random empty threats you have no intention of keeping, but just feel good to like yell out in the moment. And we just end up getting more incendiary with our kid versus MGI, most generous interpretation. And this is really powerful with any relationship. Just saying like, what is the most generous interpretation of why my kid would continue jumping on the couch or jump doubly as hard after I said to stop? And there's no right answer. But in that example, again, which is a framework, a thought, a road, whatever you want to call it, maybe I'd say, well, I do know this kid. All kids crave autonomy. This kid of mine, that's basically an orienting principle. It's kind of like Bobby thinks if I'm not in charge, I'm nobody. And this is almost an existential threat to have to listen to my parent. And also, I don't know, he had a bad day. Someone made fun of him at school. And so he's really looking for a moment to feel, extra in power. Once I have that interpretation, it doesn't make the jumping okay. That's what I would say. Oh, so it's okay that they jumped after you said no. No, it's not about okay. It's just about being effective. But now I might say, oh, well, he's clearly not able to make a good decision. I know Bobby. I should just go over there and say, if you're not off the couch by the time I get there, sweetie, I will take you off the couch because it's just unsafe to jump near the glass table. And now all of a sudden, I'm acting in a way where I'm on the same team as my kid. And I'm actually protecting my kid and helping my kid versus seeing him and kind of treating him like he's my mortal enemy.
This episode is sponsored by Cozy Earth. My